What's good, people? It's your boy, Icarus Gray. And this is a Gray Area Anime. And we are back with another one. Another what, you may ask? Well, we are back with another episode of the Gray Area Anime Podcast. As we do here, at least right now we do. We got a new webcam, new setup, so I hope I'm looking a little crispy to you guys. I hope I'm looking a little nice, a little fluid, a little cool. Something light, as the kids would say. Couple things that I want to get to really quickly. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, and hit the like. All those things help us improve the content and grow as a community. Today, I got to remind you guys, this is about a refresher of all things anime and manga. So the first thing that I need to tell you guys is it is dangerous for me to go alone. So I choose you guys to come along with me. I wanted to do like a refresher course. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I think that I started my first episodes with this. What I started doing initially with this here podcast and this channel was explaining anime to the newcomer, to the newbie, if you will. Because there are a lot of people who have not a single idea about what anime or manga is or how they play into one another. And today we're going to break that down again in a brand new refresher course, so that way we can inform you guys. I'm going to turn my mic up a little bit. We're going to inform you guys and get you more prepared for the things that you may face when trying to watch anime. I am also a huge supporter of reading manga, and if you decide to do so after this, I do recommend the Shonen Jump app. I mean, there are a million there are a million websites that you could check out, but I recommend actually supporting the artist, and we'll get into why that is important, because it is. So what we're going to do now is get into the lesson. Anime and manga refresher course. And I am your host for today, Sensei Icarus Gray. As you can see here, this is Assassination Classroom, which I thought was apropos or appropriate for starting these lessons. We have 3 different aspects that we're going to go through today. We're going to talk about manga, then we're going to talk about anime, and lastly, we're going to talk about light novels, and then I will tie all of those things together as to why we want to pay attention to those things and keep up with the fact that this is very important for you, the new manga reader, the new anime watcher, to kind of be on the lookout, because this will inform you and inform the things that you're doing with your viewings. So first things first, let's figure out where we start, which is with manga. Why should you start reading it, and how intricate is it to the things that you watch? Number 1, manga is the comic book version of the animes that you watch. Majority of the time, it is the source material that your animes come from, and it's where a lot of the story is either built or adapted. We'll get into the anime aspects of how that can kind of change here in a second, but we'll continue on with the manga explanation. So the difference between manga and comics, comic book teams are a little bit more, there's a lot more people. They're more efficient in a certain way, and there's a schedule and there's teams behind it. It's kind of like working at a newspaper or something like that. You have different people on different jobs, so to speak. And while newspapers are on tight deadlines, comic books can have a little bit of a break, and they have a lot more help because it's all about the team aspects of things. But with manga, it's about these individual manga artists and much smaller teams most times. But it's central to the creator and their ability to create these chapters or issues, if we want to use that terminology, once per week, with the exception of holiday and if there is any illness. Hello to the chat. Shout out to user Reese Too Cute. For those of you that don't know, this is a live recording of the podcast that I do Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays over on Twitch, and you can subscribe at Icarus_Gray. But back to the lesson. Manga in and of itself they're on a shorter time schedule than most people. Like I said, the only time that they're off is going to be for holidays and sickness. And a lot of times that's not a lot of time. You're going to get around 40 chapters a year, maybe more, depending on the manga artist, health, and so on and so forth. Why that's important is it takes about a year sometimes for an anime, for a manga to go to an anime. And in that time, you're reading, you're building up story, and you're seeing where your popularity lies on the scale of what people are wanting to see and or hear. They have really, really tight conditions in the sense that they are drawing everything. They are drawing the paneling. They are doing the backgrounds. It's not this cookie cutter thing that we kind of set up. They do have layouts and overlays that they'll put down to kind of give them guidelines for where they should start. But there's still a lot of work that starting mangakas have to do. Especially when you're working with an editor who is trying to make sure that you're on time, who is trying to make sure that you're progressing the story along at a decent pace for the fans. And there's a lot of different moving parts that go along with creating manga. Why I think you should read it is most mangas are way ahead of whatever it is that you're watching on TV. So you're going to be able to get the story more quickly and a lot more accurately. Anime has to fill for time sometimes, and you're going to end up with filler episodes, which we'll explain in the next segment. But just know that that's something that if you read, you don't really have to encounter, and you'll be able to kind of see where the author actually wants to take his story, because the source material will always be, for the most part, a little bit better in terms of the story quality and the development of characters, and you get the story a lot faster because that's something that they're building every week. There are a million different mangas that kind of show you that there's a lot of different ideas. So as you can see, isekais are a huge thing currently, which is life in another world, meaning a Sword Art Online or a reincarnated as a slime. The time I got reincarnated as a villainous, or all routes lead to doom. Those types of things are isekais, and they are huge right now. In the manga world, different mangakas, and I did a show the other day about the different mangakas that are hugely influential to me. You should check that out. It's still on the Twitch now, and it'll be a VOD on the YouTube channel, which you can get to through the Twitch stream. So make sure you subscribe over there if you are interested in more of this content. But it's a very, very tough job. It's something that I think is very thankless in a lot of ways, and we don't think about it because we transmute it or change it into something that's more American. We make it out to be what we think is important, or how we view our comic books, and like how we see the MCU and all these different things, where they're not the same there. There's not this huge label in front of everybody where everyone under Marvel, you have to think about the different way these characters play into each other, or DC. These are solo stories to that manga artist. There may be nods to other animes, but they're not living in the same universe, which pushes them creating their own universes, their own stories, their own characters. They exist in themselves. So there's a lot more work involved in creating a manga than there is in the comic world, because you're not assisted with the story by the years of other characters' storylines and so on and so forth. I think that you should read it because it helps build a firm foundation for what it is that you like. You can get a better understanding of where this can go and where you think the animation studio is going to take it. They have a lot of different ways that they can go about it, but it starts with the source material. And there are times where the source material runs too long. So the anime may cut out a lot of different things, and you wouldn't get to see the full story or the full aspects. And you may come to dislike an anime because you think it was too short, or you think that they didn't answer enough questions. The manga will normally have the answers to those questions. We'll have the different character developments. We'll have more shine for a character that you really loved, or whatever the case may be. You can get more information and you can get more into the things that you love if you decide to read the manga. Always check to see if an anime you love has a manga, because it may not. Let's go on to the next point, which would be anime. So anime is obviously the animated version of manga. Now, anime is not the central source. Manga is not the only source material for anime. There can also be light novels that can be a source material for anime, but we'll get to that here soon. Anime is the animated version of mangas and light novels. It is normally a animation studio's interpretation of something. Sometimes they can follow strictly to the manga, but sometimes you can get an instance where you'll have a Full Metal Alchemist and a Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. The difference between the two is Full Metal Alchemist was an interpretation on Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was an adaptation of the manga. They took way more time into curating the story and making sure that it followed the manga more, that it was a really nice animated version, something that I think that we could all get behind, because it was way more accurate. The story made more sense, because animes will try to walk their own line. For those of you who don't like to read, you may be interested in just watching. What I would advise you to do is, when you're watching an anime, check out the first episode, see what it's like. See if it has a manga, see if it has a light novel. See how long the manga or the light novel has been running. That will often inform you on how long you're going to be able to watch this show that you like. Because if you're in season 1, maybe it has 12 episodes, and the light novel only has 2 volumes, which is just 2 books, essentially. And with that, that might mean if you go and you read those 2 and you're like, well, hey, they covered everything, then you're probably not getting another season of that. Because I know we can always get this big heartbreak on things where we start watching something like Firefly or something like that, and we wonder where it went, what happened to it. Why is it no longer a thing? And so we go and we check, and we often want to kind of see what happened, so to speak. And a lot of times we don't really get that. We end up with kind of that empty feeling. So whenever you're going to start an anime, I recommend that you check out whether or not it has a manga or a light novel and how long it is, how long it has been running. And that way you'll be able to get a little bit more information on whether or not to start this journey. There are good animes that are really short that you would enjoy, whether you're looking for something long standing or not, but it will inform you on the front end. So that way you don't invest your time in something that's not going to net you the feelings that you're wanting. Anime is also used in a lot of ways differently from manga. So manga, the source material stays the source material. So while a anime may be following the manga, there are times where the manga needs more time, where the manga has not been able to build more story, and the anime starts to catch up with the manga, because in an episode of anime, you could probably run about 3 or 4 chapters through, depending upon how they're using the source material at that point. So with that, you run into filler episodes, and filler episodes are episodes that are not canon. And we are very familiar with what canon is from the MCU. But if you're not, what canon means is whether or not it actually exists in the story. Is that something that was that has come from the source material and is known as a fact, and wasn't just a time wasting device in the sense of the bathing suit episodes? They go to the fair, they do all these different things that don't build anything to the story, and you're kind of wondering what's going on. They were in the middle of a really tense moment. So what is it that we're doing now? Majority of what they're doing now is they're trying to get more space, more time for the manga to grow in its storyline, so that way they're able to adapt a little bit more than what they had in the first place. And it's a very cool device, but sometimes it can cause you to waste your time. I remember the first time I watched through Naruto, I just watched straight through and everything was canon to me. I did not know what filler was. I did not know that I could have skipped certain episodes to get back to the story that I was craving at the time, as I was trying to get to Shippuden and I was trying to see how Shippuden started. This was back in 2007, so Shippuden was still fairly new and hadn't run its last episode or anything like that yet. It was in the middle of the rescuing Gaara arc. But that's something that I learned. You can watch filler episodes. You can enjoy filler episodes. They are literally there to fill the space, hence why they're called filler. But it's better to kind of know that going in than to wonder why the tension has all of a sudden dropped, or why, you were in the middle of this moment and they're doing a completely different thing that's not what you were looking for or not what you were expecting to see. The other aspect of anime is the animation studios that work on them. I normally check that out. If it's a Toei animation, you're going to get a mixed bag to me. But if it's there's a couple different animation studios that I'll have to put down in the description, but just check who those people are, because that will also inform you as to whether or not you're going to enjoy it. One Piece or Boruto or even Naruto came out every week. There were very few weeks that Naruto did not come out. And even with Dragon Ball Super, there were a lot of complaints that people had about the animation. Now, these are popular animes. They come out every week. Dragon Ball Super preceded its manga, and so did Boruto. They were in a position to where the animations were completely new. The animation studio had to create their own stories and had to kind of build from a nothing standpoint. So for a lot of people who don't like Boruto, that was mostly due to the fact that they weren't able to initially build a story, and they were trying to give time for the actual story to be developed. Not by Kishimoto at the time. Kishimoto, who is the creator of Naruto, is back on Naruto, but they use these things to give them more time to kind of build the story. These are all intricate parts that I think will help you as someone who wants to watch. Why does all of that stuff matter? Because filler and the rest of these different devices that are used in anime can either win you over or lose you. There's a lot of instances where people have been lost because they were not as invested in a story because they didn't think the story was that serious. They didn't understand that there were different parts of it, or they didn't understand that the story was way better in the manga, or vice versa, depending. Because anime can be a great device to reshape the source material. So there may be a manga or something that ended poorly. You didn't like the way it ended. You didn't like who the character was with. And animes will sometimes take their adaptations with help from the creator and give you a better version. They'll trim the fat. They'll trim what wasn't useful in the manga. Sometimes there is a lot of extra chapters, or the manga went on too long because it was trying to attain that sense of popularity, or whatever the case may be. So check these things out. I want to help you be more informed because I want to help you enjoy more of what it is that you're watching. Next on the list is the lesser known light novels. Light novels are a new entry for me. They are new in the sense that they often tell a lot about where you're going to go. Light novels are way, way harder to get into animes because you got to buy the books. You got to read. There are illustrations in light novels, but it's still reading a book. It is the equivalent of Harry Potter. We love adapting books into movies here. We do it all the time. We love adapting books into series. We do it all the time. The reason those things happen is because of the popularity of the book. And they know that if they are able to merchandise that by selling it, animating it, making it live action, so on and so forth, then they're going to be able to do more. Light novels in Japan thrive off of that. They thrive off of whether or not they're being purchased. There are a lot of animes that you may want to watch that don't have mangas but have light novels. And I would encourage you to check that out. I would encourage you to go and read. I would encourage you to buy them because it gives a different kind of view. The light novel writers are amazing. They give you great character development. They create a world. There are still drawings in there, so you won't get overly bored or anything like that. You'll be able to kind of learn and enjoy and ingest those things as well, which is really, really good. For instance, ReZero is a light novel, or came from a light novel. There's a manga now attached to it because of its rise in popularity. That's something that has happened and will continue to happen that I think you guys would be invested in, would enjoy, and would want to see. I'm a huge proponent of light novels because light novels in all of these different parts all play into each other in a great deal. There's not really a whole lot I can say about light novels other than the fact that with all three of these parts, with manga, anime, and light novels, the biggest proponent of whether or not they're going to be successful is popularity. If you are not supporting, if you are not buying these things, if you are not reaching out and doing these sources, there won't be a season 2. There won't be another chapter of the manga. Things will get canceled. Like I said before, a lot of the times these teams may be 3 to 4 people working hard as they can every week on the manga part. Anime companies will get to do a lot of different things, but anime can't go forward if the source material is not growing. Anime was made in the first place as an adaptation to something because they saw that there was a need and they thought that maybe that this would create a bigger demand of the written form. They want you to read more comics. When you read more comics, when you read more of the thing that you like, they know that they can do more. The artist is more enthused to continuously go on every week. They are not cut from their different publication companies, whether it's Shonen Jump or any of the others, or if they're going independent or whatever the case may be. They need to hear your voice. You matter. There are a lot of different voting aspects of character intake that might get a character that you love more interest just from you voting or just from you paying attention in general. These are all of the things that you can do to make sure that that thing is going to succeed. Popularity. Let's all get behind the things that we love. Let's get behind the things that we are enjoying because it means something in the end. So just as a quick run through of everything that we've gone through today, just in case you're just not getting in here and you missed the episode. First thing is manga. I think that you guys should try and read it. It is the comic book form. It is the source material that most animes come from. Anime is the animated version of manga most times, or it's the animated version of a light novel, which is obviously just a small book that can also be source material for anime. They are very intricate. They are the trio that play into one another. Now, that doesn't go to say that an anime cannot exist without having one or the other, because an anime can exist purely as just an anime. But as that anime gains in popularity, majority of the time there will be an adaptation in some form of either they add a manga or they add a light novel or something of the like, because they want more avenues for people to be able to get this material. So this is just a refresher course for those of you who are trying to get into manga, trying to get into anime, trying to get into light novels, or understand why you should be interested in each of the three. If I've done anything to help you or anything to inform you, please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. I thank you for being here for the journey for me. Currently, I am live on Twitch. I'm going to stay online. I stay online from noon to 1 Pacific time, talking with the people in chat and engaging them. If you would like to be a part of that, make sure you go to twitch.tv/Icarus_Gray. Hit the follow button. There's some cool things that go along when you hit that follow button that I know that you guys would enjoy. And I will see you guys in the next one. I'm going to continue chatting with folks online, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.